Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. TBT. I decided that that's what's going to be the name of my Thursday videos. Truth be told Thursday. So that could be anything, right? TBT could be truth be told I did ... Or it could be like TBT someone else did that. I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to come up with a name, and I write down little notes. I'm constantly thinking about what I want to say, and so I definitely wrote some stuff down today because I tend to get off track sometimes. I see people jumping on. Hey, cuz, I'm so proud of you. I see people jumping on, and then I kind of lose my track sometimes, and actually that's kind of part of what I'm going to talk about today. So I have some things written down, so I'm just going to roll with it, and a bunch of people are jumping on already, so I'm going to get started. And first things first, I kind of talked about this a little bit on Monday, and on Monday I was talking about how I didn't really want to get into that whole like, oh my gosh, is spring break over yet or what? I was like, I don't really want to get into that. Of course, now a truck is going to come work on this road. I didn't really want to fall into that. Like, I really was thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm so blessed to be able to stay home with AJ, and I'm so blessed to be able to, this truck, really? Yay, thumbs up, thumbs up. I'm so blessed to be able to have my business through home, and I'm so blessed for all of these things. And so I really didn't want to get into that mindset about like, oh my gosh, is my kid ready to go back to school yet or not? You know what I mean? But then Tuesday was like terrible. It was pretty bad. And I was like not very patient. I had a bunch of anxiety, and I don't even know what this truck is doing besides beeping away, trying to ruin my vibe here. I was all excited. They're doing a whole bunch of work on our street. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna shut the window. Okay. Anyways, I was talking about how I didn't want to get into the vibe of like feeling like I wanted to send my kid back to school so badly, and then it just like, he knows we're the same person, we're the same exact like limit pusher. I literally said to him, I guess it was actually Wednesday morning right before he went to school, I was like, AJ, please stop testing me. And he was like, test, like testing. Like he was like, okay, you want me to test? I'll test. So anyways, I was having a little bit of anxiety when he was off of school. And for me, that's really hard because like I do everything to try to control my anxiety, right? I used to have anxiety bad. Like I used to be on Xanax, and I used to be like, I can't, handle this. And, when I became a mom, it was like, okay, well, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be snappy and yappy and yippy and, short and whatever. And it's hard, right? Parenting is hard. And, for me to be so blessed to be that stay-at-home mom, and to be able to run my business from home, and to have a husband who's deployed and all of those other things, like it's a lot. It is a lot. I have so much respect, and I give credit to the single moms out there or other people that have more than one child. And I know Brutus is not a child, but he is a toddler too, and he's going away to training next week, luckily. But it's a lot of people message me and they're like, I just couldn't do what you do, and you just have it so together. And it's like, I don't. I do prep on Sundays, thankfully, but like some nights we don't like have like an actual dinner. I haven't actually made dinner in quite some time, and part of that is because we eat a rather large breakfast and lunch. But like, I'm not sitting here, little Miss Susie homemaker, making dinner, and I definitely don't fold the laundry. And I had a bunch of anxiety when he was off from spring break. And some of that was my mindset, I realized, because this morning, usually on the days that are my rest day, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a terrible day. And I had a different mindset today because I felt bad about Tuesday having that much anxiety. So I had a different outlook this morning. I was like, okay, I'm not going to work out in the morning because it is my rest day and I do teach cycle. So Granted, I didn't take a whole rest day, but I didn't work out right away in the morning, and that's what I normally do. So I went to sleep with the intentions of having a really good morning with him, and realizing that really he just loves his mom, and he just wants to be near me all of the time. And since the time he was a little tiny baby, I mean, we're just very, very close. Touch is very important to us and all of those kinds of things. And so a lot of times that I'm realizing lately that was giving me anxiety was the fact that he always wanted to be so close to me. And that's not fair. Like, I'm the one who wants that bond. I want him to feel that close, you know what I mean? And so anyways, it's like a double-edged sword sometimes. You get stressed out at the things that you just want to provide for them, and that kind of stuff. So anyways, this morning was rough. This morning was not rough. This morning I was like, you know what, it's gonna be a good morning, and I'm gonna make sure that when he comes downstairs, if I'm still meditating or whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm gonna drop it right away, because that's the other thing. Sometimes if I have a couple minutes left, I'm like, buddy, mommy's got to finish her workout. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I get up at 5:30 in the morning for a reason, so I don't have to compromise that time with him. That's another thing about kind of like truth be told, or almost truth bomb. So many people out there are like, well, I just don't have time for that. I don't have time to do that. I don't have, none of us really have the time. We make the time. There are definitely people out there that are doing many more things than I am doing, and I feel like I don't have time. You know what I mean? When some days I'm like, I literally don't have any more time in my day. Well, yes, Katie, exactly. Priorities. This is a priority to me, to keep my stuff together, to be a good role model for AJ, and to show him that health and nutrition is super important, and and mental health too. Here's another thing, and this is a huge part of what I wanted to talk about, is I was on medications when I was a kid. I remember, like, in elementary school, I moved to our school district in 2nd grade, and we didn't have a ton of money when I was a kid. My mom was really young. My mom and dad were very young, and they worked very hard, and we had a lot of love, and that was awesome. But the school district that I went to, a lot of the people did have money, and I remember like things happening that I was kind of being bullied, actually. And like, I would kind of follow around these kids that lived on the lake with a big house, and like I said, this was 2nd or 3rd grade, and I remember them like giving me the yucky barrettes and like some weird stuff, and then I was like immediately like, oh hell no, like I'm not rolling with that. And then I don't know, it kind of, the tables just switched, and then I think it was just because I was so real and down to earth. Like, I always kind of was one of the cool kids, like, and it was important to me to be one of those kids. And even then, like, into high school, like, in school, I was always talking and constantly talking and kind of getting in trouble, and had to be moved to the front of the class or had to be moved to the back of the class. And it was like, oh, well, I have ADD, or whatever, like excuses like that. And then when it was time for high school, I skipped school, and I was just that kid. I was like the cool kid, or not the bully, because I got along with everybody and I stood up for everybody, but it was like if something was going down, they would come to me and I would like handle things, you know what I mean? And so I've always been like somebody that at heart wants to help people. But I remember even like wanting to be in the class that was almost for the bad kids, like, okay, well, now you're in this class because you're not smart enough to like do these other things. And it just was like, well, no, all my friends are in this class. And it was like Higher Learning, for those of you who remember that movie. Like, we kind of got to mess around in class and do all this stuff. And so up until my senior year of school, I was like, what am I doing? Like, well, everyone else was messing around because they were having senior year, and it was okay to just like chill then, like then I was taking all advanced classes and trying to make up. And so like for a lot of my life it was like I made bad decisions, and you know, I was always a hard worker and I had the heart and everything, but I just kind of was like, hey, this is my life. This is, you know, we go out, we hang out, we do this, we do that. And anyways, so that also obviously had a lot to do with my anxiety, was the things that I've done to my body. And even though I always was kind of a healthy eater, you know, drinking excessively through my 20s and early 30s, or, you know, eating healthy most of the time, but then eating pizza at bar time and that kind of thing. Like it all plays a role. And so the next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was yesterday I made a post about, I'm not sure what this unicorn thing is all about. Obviously everybody has seen that unicorn Starbucks deal. I was like, I am just glad that my kid has no idea what McDonald's or Burger King is. And I think sometimes when I look back and look at some of the posts, it seems judgy, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm judging anybody. Like, I don't care at all if anybody had that unicorn shake. I don't, it's not for me to judge. If people wanted to try it, that's fine. I don't care at all if people take their kids to McDonald's, or if other people's kids know what Happy Meals are. Like, I realized that was kind of it could have been taken completely the wrong way. The reason for me that I'm glad that AJ has no idea, like, we can drive by a McDonald's or Burger King and he just doesn't know what it is. He just has never been there. And so the reason to me why that's important is because of my behavioral issues and things like that from when I was younger. And honestly, like Chad, it's kind of was like a joke when we started dating and stuff. Everyone was like, oh wow, both of you are like all over the place. And so, you know, Chad is an Intel guy. He's very, very smart. I'm very, very smart and street smart and all of that. But for a long time, until I got into this routine, you know, taking such a priority with my health and fitness, my anxiety was really bad, which it still creeps up. But my focus and my mentality. And so I don't want my son to have those same things come up that I had come up. Like, I don't want him to be in class being made fun of, or I don't want him to have the mindset or to be held back that it's like cool to just kind of like skate by, right? I want like him to thrive in everything. And because I do so much education and research and talk to so many professionals and doctors and pediatricians and nutritionists, and, you know, I have so many classes under my belt, and with my dental background, the reasons for me why it is so imperative that AJ eats healthy is because I know what it does to kids that don't eat healthy. You know, there's all of the behavioral issues, or there's all of these things that people are like, oh, well, my son has this or that. And it's like, well, probably because this is what you feed your kids all of the time. Or, you know, people say like, well, my kid just won't eat that way. And it's, you know, again, not to be judgy, but AJ is very picky sometimes, right? When he was a baby, and up till probably a year ago, he ate everything. You know, he eats yogurt. It's his favorite thing. However, I started putting mini chocolate chips in his yogurt. And so up recently, all of a sudden he wouldn't eat like the yogurt or the oatmeal or anything like that without the chocolate chips. And then even like the last month or so, he would only eat the chocolate chips in his yogurt. Okay, so here I was like, oh my gosh, like my kid is, you know, now only eating the chocolate chips. And that kind of backfired on me. And, you know, just the acting up with, but I want this candy. And so I am not at all perfect by any means, but 95% of the time, you know, nutrition is introduced into this house, and that's what we eat. Like last night, you know, luckily I was able to give him Shakeology because he wasn't going to eat. There's just things that he doesn't like. I actually made him chicken tacos because sometimes he still asks for meat, and I'm not going to say that he can't have meat. I want him to be able to have the choice. But as soon as I made it, he didn't want it. He that's kind of why we are doing the vegetarian thing to begin with. He hasn't been huge into meat for quite some time. So anyways, I just want people to know that I am not judging. I don't care if anyone had the unicorn shake. I don't think that if somebody had the unicorn shake yesterday that they're going to have it every day. It's just that my goal is to always provide information on nutrition for those reasons. Okay. So anyways, enough about that. What was the next thing? The medications. I was on medications. Oh, another thing is I do talk about the containers that I use all of the time, right? So the containers are super, super important to ensure that we're eating enough. So when you're doing a program and you're into a fitness routine and all of that kind of stuff, it's very, 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 very common for people to undereat. And so I use the container system. All of our programs now use the container system, and I do really, really, really well. And then I don't mean to say terrible, because it is all about balance, but like for instance, healthy fats, like the last few days, I've been all about just like handfuls of almonds. And the other night I posted about how I literally had like a handful of chocolate chips and then was going to go to bed. Well, I had like 4 more handfuls of chocolate chips before I went to bed, right? Usually we get the vegan chocolate chips. These were the real deal. And I was completely fine with having all of those chocolate chips. So again, definitely not perfect here. That's one of the things that I hear from so many people when they reach out, is that they're like, well, yeah, look at you. Well, this is not the same like 2 years ago, you guys, I could barely do a push-up. I could barely lunge. I was in that car accident. I couldn't get out of bed. My thoracic spine was jacked up. Both of my knees had water on the knees. They told me it was arthritis. I have a bad left wrist and a bad right shoulder, but I refuse to like let that be a limitation for me. And again, I'm just kind of that person that likes to push my limits, and that's why my son is that way as well. That's why I was a little stressed out over spring break, because he's a limit pusher just like his mommy. One last thing is, while we're talking about nutrition and stuff like that, again, I am here to encourage people to start some type of a program and get on some type of a routine, whether it starts with the meditation. I talk about that all of the time, getting your mind right. You can't really start like a deeper program, if you will, if your mind is not right. I've seen a lot of people that post about the medications that they're taking, or I see people that have had like the surgery, and to each their own, but a lot of times what's scary to me is a lot of doctors do prescribe medications because they get money back from the pharmaceutical companies, right? A lot of doctors, like obviously if the surgery that they do is like the lap band surgery or whatever that is, they're tied with pharmaceutical companies that want you to take these medications rather than like working with you on your nutrition and diet to lose weight the safe way. And so that's something that's very, very real and scary to me. I also know a number of people as of recently that have finished doing chemo and things like that, and the doctors flat out kind of have said like, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat and things like that, and that it kills me. Like I literally I've been in tears over it. It's very, very scary. Like it's scary. So just knowing that why I do talk so much about this so often is because people need to be aware of, like, you can't just always take, like, if a doctor tells you like, well, you're never going to be able to work out again, that's what they told me too, and I refused to believe that. So just know that your mindset is what's going to get you there, and obviously there's going to be limitations and people have to modify things, and someone's not going to be able to do the sprint triathlon that I'm going to be able to do in a couple weeks. But last year, just 1 year ago, I was terrified to do a triathlon. I was like, a triathlon? Are you kidding me? Like, even running more than 1.5 miles or riding a bike outside. The first time I went outside, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. That was just last year. That was 1 year ago. And, you know, it has to be something that you want to do. A lot of times people take the easy way out. It's not easy to get up at 5:30 every single morning to work out. It's not easy to do prep every single Sunday and, you know, do my shopping on Saturday and do the produce wash and, you know, all of these things. However, if you're not prepared, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's just how it is. Like, this is a lifestyle for me now, and if I veer off of that, it's not that I feel bad that I have balance in my life. It's that my body feels like crap, right? I get sick. And like next week when I'm in Punta Cana, you know, I will obviously indulge in some treats and stuff like that. I will definitely have drinks, have some cocktails and beers and, you know, do all of that stuff. But like, I'm going to get up and work out in the morning. I'm going to eat pretty well because I've worked very hard to get where I am. I would be super shredded. I would have those abs that I said I was going to have by next week, but I like the almonds. I like the chocolate chips, and I deserve, like, I work very, very hard, so I deserve to kind of have those treats. But lastly, I just want to say this. Please just don't wait until it's too late. I see a lot of people, I know a lot of people that just have kind of given up on themselves already, and it's scary. It's very, very scary because, like, we're never promised tomorrow as it is, and it's something that you know, right? I know that it's difficult for a lot of people to even, like, get up and get out of bed, and, like, sometimes it's anxiety or depression, or, like, you can't even walk, or whatever the case is, but like, you have to start doing something for your mind and body, and that is eating well and exercising. Like, whatever it is for you, you have to start something, especially for those people that I see that are like, oh, I've been in the hospital with my dad for 3 weeks, or I've been in the, you know, my son had this happen. You know, it's scary, and like, genes play a huge factor into a lot of stuff, but nutrition will take you very, very, very far. And so, you know, knowing that you're using the right products, knowing that you're not getting something that's cheaper just because it's cheaper, but it's full of toxins, or, you know, things like that. Like, either eat the whole food or don't do anything at all. That's why I'm so passionate about all of this, is because it's very scary. And it's very scary when people end up watching their loved ones get very, very, very sick and wishing that they would have taken the actions to do something about it before it's too late, right? So a lot of people will come to me and say, I've been following you for so long, and, you know, now I went to the doctor, and if I don't do XYZ, you know, by next month, then I'm going to have to go on all of these medications. And, you know, just try to be proactive now, and hopefully then that won't be the case, right? So anyways, this was a little longer than I had planned for it to be, but I just like to be raw and real with you guys. And so let me know if you have any questions, and I hope everyone has a really, really good day. 1 week from today until I'm in Punta. I'm so excited. Brutus is right here as always, so he says hello, and hope y'all have a good day.